Lavender Corretta contains mature themes. All videos are kept unage restricted so that the information provided is free to all, regardless of age or demographic. However, viewer discretion is advised. What do you call it when you get a mysterious STI on your dick? A real head scratcher. I'm surprised this was the idea that won the poll. You guys really want to hear me yap about chlamydia for 10 minutes? I mean, I'm down. I'm just shocked for real. I was expecting something like big dicks to win out. That one always wins. But anyway, you found yourself at the beginning of a potential new series. In today's episode, we're tackling chlamydia. It might not be a super fun topic for discussion, but we'll make it fun somehow, I promise.
I have a sexually transmitted disease.
Does she play bridge?
First, some background on STIs if you're unfamiliar. And yes, it is now called STIs, sexually transmitted infections. It used to be STDs, but infections is more accurate than diseases. STIs are serious infections that can develop after you've had sex, or after you've come into contact with any sexual fluid. This is important, as many people consider blowjobs to be not sex. But an unprotected blowjob is 100% a way to get an STI. Common symptoms of an STI include itching and burning around your genital area, and they may manifest themselves with physical rashes and bumps. Are STIs curable? It depends on the infection. Currently, chlamydia, gonorrhea, trichomoniasis, HPV, and syphilis are all curable through treatment. For herpes and HIV, there are methods of weakening the infection, although antibiotics alone can't cure it. Hepatitis B has antivirals that can help fight the virus, but this will only slow the damage. In recent years, gonorrhea specifically has become more resistant to antibiotics, making it more difficult to cure. STIs are shockingly common. In 2021, 2.5 million cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis were reported. About half of these cases occur in people ages 15 to 24. The reason it's so important to get tested is because this stuff can do a lot more damage than you think. Everyone knows HIV can develop into AIDS, and syphilis can cause damage to your organs and nervous system. This can even lead to infertility. You should get tested at least annually, assuming you're sexually active.
Chlamydia, that's curable. Let's think about it. Chlamydia is curable, but I don't want it to get too far now.
Chlamydia is a common STI caused by bacteria. It's both treatable and curable. However, its symptoms are often unnoticeable. It's super important to get checked very often. If the infection goes undiscovered for long enough, it can begin to do damage to your reproductive organs. Chlamydia is spread through sex, obviously, most commonly through oral and anal sex. Even fingering can spread the infection if you don't wash your hands right after. Aw man, the fun ones. Unfortunately, chlamydia can also spread through the shared use of sex toys. If you're someone who's sex positive enough to 1. Use sex toys, and 2. Share them with people, make sure they're completely clean and sterilized. Actually, you know what? I don't even know why I'd suggest that. Probably a good idea to never share sex toys, it's just not worth the risk. I mean, how much can a dildo actually be? Wow, inflation's a bitch. Anyone can get chlamydia. The bacteria responsible for the infection will transfer through vaginal fluid and semen. Which, obviously, are very common elements in any sexual setting. If you're engaging in sex acts with multiple partners, like an orgy, it's recommended you get tested every 3 to 6 months, as opposed to once every 12 months. Any increase in the number of partners will increase the chances you contract an STI. It's an example of how these kinds of infections formed the basis of certain belief systems. Think about it. Sex with multiple partners causes an STI, and this is assumed to be God punishing those who have sex with multiple partners. I'm not, trying to push any kind of atheism here. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to show you how STIs can have an effect on the world. I mean, there is good reason to be extremely careful in situations that could pass chlamydia. It's an infection you can pass on to your child. Chlamydia is the most common STI caused by bacteria. Over 1 million cases are reported each year, and that's only counting official reports. The number of actual infections is likely much higher. Since most cases of the clam are asymptomatic, a lot of people just won't know until it starts causing real damage. I have to stress, take testing seriously. You need to do it if you're sexually active. One of the goals of this channel is to take the stigma out of the conversation. You know, you should feel obligated to be open with your partner about your past history and your risk of infection. At the same time, a busy sex life does increase the risk. Let's talk demographics. Some groups are unfortunately at a higher risk of contracting chlamydia. Obviously, if you're in the range of commonly sexually active individuals, your risk is high, ages 15 to 24. That's right, parents, it's something that's unfortunately made its way into the 15-year age group. It used to be 17, now it's 15. Hey, all the more reason to educate your teens about this stuff. If you're in a homosexual relationship, you're also disproportionately affected. It's more common in male-to-male contact. If you're black and non-Hispanic, you're also at an increased risk. Now, this fact about demographics isn't about increased sexual behavior. More likely it's due to lack of educational resources in these communities. At least, that's what clevelandclinic.org says. It's important to be sensitive towards certain identities, yes. But if we're just looking at the numbers, gay men do tend to have more partners on average, as reported by the National Institute of Health. Some people might not want that to be said because of political reasons. But your health comes before potentially offending somebody. If you're a gay man and you're nervous about sleeping with another gay man because you know there's higher rates of infection, you have every right to decline a sexual encounter based on this premise alone. Bottom line is, don't let someone pressure you into sex if you're just not comfortable with it. Luckily, you can avoid both of those problems if you know how to prevent the spread of chlamydia. First and foremost, use a condom. It's a hard sell, using condoms for oral sex, but it is very effective in blocking the infection. Definitely use a condom for anal sex. You know, you're free to live whatever sexual life you prefer when it comes to how many people you sleep with, but when you make that decision, there is a trade-off. More freedom comes with higher risk of infection. Personally, I'm someone who's not gonna engage in sex until I know the other person for like a month. And not until I know for sure they've been tested since I met them. I'm also not doing it without a condom. Oral, maybe could slide on that, but definitely not penetration. Funny enough, I think I've met more women who won't go through with the sex if the man wants to use a condom, rather than the other way around. Because the stereotype is usually, he won't do it unless he can do it raw, but from what I've seen and heard from people I know in the real world, it's just as much the other way around. The bottom line is, you have the sole responsibility to set your own standards. There's a nice middle ground in there if you're somewhat conflicted. If you want to lead a sexually active life before you settle down, maybe require a condom for at least vaginal and anal sex, and wait for them to be tested at least once before you engage with them. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, you can be reasonable. So, what doesn't cause chlamydia? Well, according to this site, kissing, sharing food and drinks, holding hands, using a toilet after someone, and inhaling the cough droplets, or sneeze droplets, whatever. None of those will spread the infection. Again, it's based on the exchange of sexual fluids and bacteria. Let's say you're with someone who has chlamydia. You don't have to avoid them like the plague, you just can't engage in any kind of sex involving the contact of both of your genitalia. This doesn't leave a ton of room for intimacy. You could theoretically watch each other masturbate, you could do phone sex, you can be intimate, you just can't do anything that makes your junk touch their junk. If chlamydia is asymptomatic, how will you know when you have it? Well, you'll know it when you get tested. But eventually, you will start to see symptoms if it goes unnoticed for long enough. You do not want to wait that long. For women, you might have unusual discharge, an increased need to pee, a burning sensation when you pee, painful periods, and itching around your vagina. For men, You might have watery discharge from your penis, and, of course, a burning sensation when you pee. Chlamydia affects the reproductive organs, so that's where you're gonna start seeing problems. It is possible, though, to see symptoms in other areas. You might notice blood or other discharge coming from your ass.
Something's in my ass.
Yes, seriously. A sore throat isn't enough to call chlamydia, but this, combined with other symptoms, might suggest it. Conjunctivitis is when the bacteria spreads to your eye. You know, you're fingering, then you touch your eye without washing your hands. That's how you get it. This can cause redness, pain, and discharge from the eye. The actual treatment for chlamydia involves a week or two of antibiotics. It's common and highly treatable. Still, you need to be careful, and you shouldn't stop taking your medications when your condition improves, because chlamydia reinfection is easy. It can occur very easily. Ask your doctor what kind of follow-up is necessary once you finish your prescription. You may need to contact all of your recent sexual partners if you discover that you have chlamydia. They might have it too and not know it.
Okie dokie, calling bitch.
It's also somewhat common to have a cocktail of STIs, so if you have chlamydia, you should get checked for everything else too. The antibiotics... What? The antibiotics will cure the infection, but it won't reverse any damage caused by the chlamydia. One last thing. My source mentions that people often have different ideas for what counts as cheating in a relationship. I've met both men and women who said that a blowjob isn't sex, but chlamydia doesn't discriminate. If there's any genital contact, you're at risk. This fear shouldn't stop you from having sex at all, but it should communicate to you how serious the matter is. If you've been loyal to your clean partner and they give you chlamydia, this signifies one of two things. 1, someone cheated, or 2, you or them had sex with someone with chlamydia months ago before you started going out, and the infection just now presented itself. If this happens to you, consider the fact that a previous partner may have given it to you. It might not be cheating after all. And that is pretty much everything you need to know about chlamydia. It's good to know at least the basic information about how STIs spread. Chlamydia generally isn't a debilitating infection. It's pretty easily treatable, but that doesn't make it any less serious. If you're sexually active, make sure you're getting checked at least once a year, and make that twice a year if you're in an open relationship. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. This one was more medical rather than personal, but luckily, I've never had chlamydia, so there you go. But the information is good to have. So yep, that's all for this one. Stay healthy. I love you all. Good night.